Hello, folks. Welcome from Louisiana. My name is Jay, or Ronald, and I am with Louisiana Beer Reviews, and we have Brandon in Mississippi, and we have John and Charles in Indiana, and we don't have Patrick right now because he's using a system that's not compatible or something's wrong. So what's up, y'all?
Oh, just getting ready to enjoy Magnum malt liquor.
We're going to examine Magnum malt liquor, what you know about that. Let me tap the bottle. Makes that nice plastic sound. Getting a little echo on somebody's end. Could be Charles and John. Oh, there's Eric. Eric, you ready to do this?
Sorry I'm late.
It's all right. Eric, you ready to do this Magnum malt liquor, sir?
Yeah. Here, let me get a glass real quick.
Now, what I wanted to do, and what's proper to do, label out. Correct, Brandon? You can check me on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same with the plastic. You got to tap the glass. When you tap in the plastic, it sounds weak and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you can knock on it with your fist. Okay, well, anyway, let's crack this open. It's not even going to crack right. Oh, look at him with his little 40 glass 40.
I should have got my Stein.
What's the best buy on that bottle? 2012?
Damn.
It should say. That's strange to see a glass.
Yeah.
Very strange, in fact. Made a lot of smoke. I had mine in the freezer. Now, John and Charles, you all know that when you're doing the malt liquor, you want to get it cold as possible, right?
In the freezer for a little bit before we started the review.
Now, Eric, you out in California, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
you're saying that the Magnums out there are still in glass bottles?
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely glass.
But what's the best buy date on it?
Look, I don't really see one.
It should be around the edge here, like the lower neck.
I found it. It's April 13th, 2015.
That's very strange. But y'all hammering? Okay, now
Sorry, that's my lady. No worries.
Decided to renovate right in the middle of it. Okay, now anybody want to give us the history of this particular beer brand?
I don't know the history of the beer. I know you covered it on your video. Did they introduce it, say, like in 1980 or something, if I remember correctly, or am I wrong?
Yeah, but not very wrong. They introduced it in 1981.
Oh, okay.
I did some research. There used to be a beer called Miller Malt Liquor. And whether it was the same thing, I don't know, but it was replaced or it died out or something, and they brought in this Magnum Malt Liquor. Miller had an interesting commentary on some literature they sent me back in the 90s. They were saying, well, malt liquor, most major brands, and they said most because Coors really doesn't fool with that, but they said most major brands carry a malt liquor brand, and they said it represents a relatively small segment of the beer, the brewers, what do you call it, production community, whatever. But it used to be 6%, because I'm looking at this can from 19. When it might be, I don't know, I don't understand that code, but this can says 6% Magnum malt liquor. This is the new modern design. This design's been, I'll say modern, it's been out around 15 years, the black and gold. Now here's the second generation can right here. Can y'all see this?
Mm-hmm.
It used to be burgundy and black. Before that, it was like cream colored and burgundy. Now, it says Magnum. Oh, well, I'm going to read that. Y'all remind me to read that label in a little while. But do you know, does anybody know, can you show us that bottle, Eric?
It does not say an alcohol percentage anywhere on it. And in California, you have to if it's over 5%, which makes me think it's less than that. But the woman I bought this from, she told me, "Oh, this is a really strong beer." And in Ventura, they're not even allowed to sell 40 ounces because that's what all the homeless people and the drunks drink. So they actually banned the 40 here. But I can't find anything saying an alcohol percentage.
Look on the side by the UPC.
Ours don't say anything either, Jay.
There's a little rectangle on the UPC code, and it says Miller Brewing Company, and then inside the little rectangle it says serving facts. For a 12-ounce bottle, you get 5.6% alcohol by volume, 157 calories, 11.2 grams of carbs, 0 grams of fat, and 1.2 grams of protein, and it's 5.6 ABV. And it says you get 3.3 servings in this one bottle. This bottle equals 3.3 servings. You don't see that?
I don't have any of that.
I see it on mine. It's on mine.
Yeah.
Must be a new thing they're doing with along with the plastic bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah, my date is my Best Buy date is very faint, isn't it? But it's somewhere etched. Oh, here it is, July 13th. So I got a good time frame on mine.
August 3rd, 2015. So this is very fresh and it smells like it too.
No skunk at all.
No, and look at this. I mean, I poured this. I mean, when I poured this, they had a still sustaining on it. This, and it's very carbonated. This is an awesome looking beer.
Yeah, it's a classic Miller head, huh? You know, with that foam.
Yes.
I believe the etching is helping you a little there, Brandon. This glass,
Well, yeah, it is. It does help a lot.
This glass is etched too.
Mine's not.
Now, I'm getting a lot of lacing left on this. This is not really the proper glass, but anyway, I'm getting a lot of lacing left on it, and it's gold. It's bubbly. Looks just like a regular old lager beer, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Smells like it. A lot of people would not think this was malt liquor, I don't think, if you didn't tell them. Y'all ready to dive into the taste? I'm thirsty.
Me too.
Let's drink it. What do you say, John and Charles? See, we can't see John and Charles' face too well. We just see in between them.
Is that better? It's
Oh, there's Patrick.
it's pretty light actually.
Yeah.
A little sweet.
I don't find it as sweet as, say, Old English.
Hey, here we go.
I consider Old English to be a lot sweeter than this beer. I think this beer's a lot more mellow. I'm almost thinking I prefer it over Old English, but I like Old English, actually. I drink Old English
I'm
often.
glad you brought up Old English, because in California you're getting a 7.5% OE, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so, yes.
See, we get a 6% Old English. There's various Old English. Old English is a mysterious beer because in Louisiana it's 6%. In California it's 7.5%. And you go to Texas and Mississippi and they got that 8% high gravity Old English. So Old English is sort of like its own line of beer. But anyway, now
I'll tell you, I prefer this over Old English.
you prefer this?
Yep. I
Me
think.
too.
I
Can
don't
you
think
guys hear me?
malt liquor. I think it tastes like a lager.
Well, here you're fine, Patrick. Well, it is a lager.
Yes, it is.
This
Now-
is my first time drinking this.
Oh, Patrick, is it common in Philadelphia?
I never really looked for it before, but apparently it is. And now after I took the time and noticed it, it's in a lot of shops where they sell like takeout beer inside Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's barely sold in my town. It used to be in all the stores, but Old English bounced it out. Old English is the king around here, and that's why it wears the crown. But
Old English is a little bit cheaper, I found. This was like $3.30 for me, whereas Old English is like $2.75 or something.
yeah, I was put off by the price.
But I think this is a better beer. And like I said, I actually do like Old English. you can like compared to Steel Reserve, I would prefer at least the version we get here in California. I think Old English is a lot better than that, and I think Magnum is better than Old English.
Okay. If you get a hold of Mickey's Fine Malt Liquor, you'll notice that the specifications for Mickey's, grams of fat, calories, alcohol content, everything is identical. And you can check me on that by looking on the Miller Coors website. Identical. Now, but like John Walker said, I'm going to invite John Walker. He might know. I can't invite him because he couldn't find it. Anyway, John Walker said that he thinks the reason they're different is because they age them differently. You know what I mean? Mickey's and Magnum might be the same exact beer, but they're aged differently, which could cause them to taste different. Because I've done side-by-side reviews. I did a video where I drank Old English, Magnum and Mickey's, and they did not taste the same.
Do you think maybe they're different hops? Maybe they use pretty much the same ingredient, but the hops changes the taste a little bit?
I hadn't thought of that. Now, that would the hops affect the alcohol or the grams of fat or anything like that?
No, the hops don't really affect the alcohol content. The alcohol content is affected by your fermentable sugars. And one of the things, that's about it. I mean, as far as the
flavor agent, right?
Hops for flavoring, bittering, and aroma.
Correct.
It's not for fermentable sugars. That's where
The
your
grain bill
barley.
will do that, right?
What's that?
The grain bill would affect what the alcohol level is going to be, depending on what they put in it to get a certain amount of fermentation.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so Magnum and Mickey's could have the same exact specifications, but they could be using different hop varieties, which is making them taste different. That's what you're telling me.
Just a theory.
That's a theory. I guess we could write to Miller. You know what we should have done? We should have gotten their head brewer, their brewmaster for the whole company, InBev. I'm sorry, not InBev. Excuse me. I'll be shot for saying that. SAB Miller. His name is Dr. David Ryder. We should get him on here one night, and he could explain to us why that is the case. Do you think he would come on here?
Sure.
I don't think so, Tim. That's an
Positive.
reference.
Think you would?
'Cause he's a scientist, you know. He would know, and he's the head brewmaster at SAB Miller. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to write him an email and ask him. That would be something if we had the head brewmaster of SAB Miller in the whole world come on this examination, don't you think?
That'd be pretty cool, actually. I'm not sure if he'd show up, but that'd be pretty cool if he did.
I would definitely call that cool.
Yeah.
I thought this had a funky taste to it in the beginning, but it grows on me as I'm drinking a little bit more and more.
Can I say something else about, you were talking about the Mickey's flavor? Another thing that could possibly alter the flavor of Mickey's is that I find every beer that is stored in green bottles, and obviously a lot of these beers are also not in that same bottle, but the beers that come in green bottles tend to have a certain skunky flavor. The green color itself, I find, alters the flavor of the beer.
Yeah.
So that is another thing I feel that could alter the flavor of Mickey's.
But I bet you nobody here tonight has gotten any skunk though, huh?
No.
No, I haven't.
If you get on the SAB Miller website, not SAB, excuse me, the Miller Coors website, it takes a lot of time to read it because it's pretty long, but they talk about how they discovered this type of hops called Galena hops, which don't get affected by light, and they use them.
Is that the one from MGD?
Yeah, and it's like they have it in a clear bottle and it doesn't get skunked because they use this special type of hop.
Well, is it a special hop or is it a hop extract where I guess whatever the chemical that it gets affected from the light isn't in there? Or
I don't know. Like I say, if we had Dr. Ryder on here, I know it's a special. Yeah, I know what Brandon's saying, that the green bottles will protect it more than the clear. Clear bottles is your worst choice. Green is your best, is a better choice, and of course brown or black would be your best choice, and a can would probably be even better. I never see Magnum in cans anymore, I have to tell you.
the only option I found was the plastic 40 bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of them, but That was the only option.
And here's Patrick over here with glass bottles. Patrick, you got to set up
plastic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Patrick. Not Patrick. Excuse me. Eric. Eric's over there with a glass bottle, and it is not an old bottle. And he's going to set off a firestorm across the internet, where people are going to say, "No, that's not possible. There are no more glass bottles." Well, apparently there are. He's got one in his hand. So that's sort of a revolutionary type situation, what we're looking at. I'm talking about in the malt liquor culture, that's a revolutionary situation. Most people could care less, I'm sure. Well, anyway, this beer is a beer that Miller does not promote much. They used to sell it everywhere in 22-ounce bottles. If you get on the Miller Coors website, they're still showing that 22-ounce bottle. Whether it's still made, I don't know. It's commonly sold in 40-ounce plastic bottles and glass, apparently still. Miller does nothing to promote this beer. Have you ever seen an advertisement of any form for Magnum?
No.
Not at all.
Never have.
Not even in store.
No. 34 years of no advertising attention, but yet it's still around. So it must have some sort of little following. Well, anyway, let's get to the actual beer. What do y'all think about it? I'm not going to talk. I just want to hear what y'all think about this beer, this extra strong beer, so-called malt liquor. That's what a malt liquor is, a beer above 5% alcohol.
Well, Jay. Oh, sorry.
Well, we'll go from the West Coast to the East Coast. How does that sound? We'll go to California first, and we'll go to Eric.
All right. So you're just asking me to analyze the flavor?
Just like, what do you think about the beer? Like, not a review of it, just examine it. Like, what do you think about it as a beer?
I think, like I said, for the price point, I think it's actually a very good beer because it's not overly sweet. It doesn't taste like there's corn syrup in it. It's mellow. It doesn't taste stale. A lot of the very cheap malt liquors actually almost have a stale taste to them. I feel this one doesn't have that. So I think overall, for what it is, I would rate it pretty highly. I think it's a pretty damn good beer for what it is.
How do you think it holds up against things like Miller High Life or a Miller Genuine Draft or a Red Dog, something like that?
Well, I've never had Red Dog, and I haven't had Miller High Life in a while. I would, from my memory, which could be inaccurate of Miller High Life, because that's a beer that I remember not liking and I haven't drank in many years. I think that this would be slightly better because I actually thought Miller High Life was a little bit stale tasting, and it could have been the beer that I had that day, but I found that beer had that taste of stale beer almost to me, whereas this doesn't. And it could just be a matter of that batch being stale.
Yeah. So your attitude is that you're generally favorable towards it.
Yes, for the price point, for what this beer is, I think it's a very good beer. But I think I might even be drinking a different beer than you because I know that California requires a label of 5% for its beer. Anything above 5% has to be labeled. I cannot see anywhere an alcohol.
That's freaking me out pretty bad. I mean, you're freaking me out bad because A, it's in a glass bottle, and it doesn't have the ABV, and you're telling me California has a requirement for that. So it's got me pretty shook up. But we're gonna have to research this. You could basically cause the whole internet to crash by mentioning that on the malt liquor websites.
You know, I could be wrong.
We all could be.
I see nowhere a listed ABV, and but I think it's a very good beer. So I mean, it's very possible they could be drinking a different beer than you're drinking.
Yeah, that's really strange. All right, now, Brant. Okay, I'm in Louisiana, so I'll give my opinion. I like it. I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, of course, but it has a decent head. It smells okay. It can go toe to toe with all the other major mass-produced adjunct lagers, I think. And to tell you the truth, in the background, I'm picking up a little hop bitterness on the bitter sides of my tongue. I do pick up some hop bitterness, so it does have some bitterness to balance it out. I think it is well made. It's a Miller brand. I don't think it's slung together. They've been doing something right for 31 years, although the recipe has changed now. It was 6%, it's 5.6. But would I drink it again? Absolutely. Is it my favorite beer? Not by a long shot. But would I recommend somebody giving it a chance and trying it? Certainly. Okay, now, and it finishes crisp, clean, refreshing, and highly drinkable for the ABV. Going to Mississippi, Brandon.
Well, I have very similar opinions to you, Jay. The beer does remind me of a, as far as flavor goes, it does remind me of Miller High Life because it has a distinctive Miller beer taste that you get with pretty much every Miller beer out there, just about. But it does remind me of Miller High Life in the flavor. It's got more of a body, of course, because Miller High Life is like 4.5% or something like that.
Yeah, 4.
I do the hot bitterness that you're talking about. I get that. Do get that. So it is well-made beer. This sort of beer would be very refreshing. I say on a hot day, something like that. Let's say you're just throwing some hamburgers on the grill or stuff like that, or just throwing steaks, whatever. This could pair with any American food out there. So
how about beef stew over rice?
I would recommend that too. I think it'd be really good.
And you would recommend getting a 40 ounce. You may as well get a 40 ounce and drink it, right?
Exactly. Get a 40 ounce and drink it. Why go big or go home? There you go.
It's a party bottle. That's what what the 40 ounce is known as, the party bottle.
Party of one.
So that you can buy one and share it with friends and family. Now, going up north now to the old Northwest, Indiana.
Now,
I think John.
I think this is a pretty fantastic beer. I think it kind of reminds me. I don't know if you remember the beer called Miller Genuine Draft or not.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It kind of reminds you a little bit of that type of beer. But overall, I mean, I pretty well agree with what everybody said. I mean, for the price and for the beer, I'd definitely drink it again. I'd probably give it a B+.
Wow.
I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's comparing some of the other malt liquors we've done on your reviews. This one is pretty balanced and light. It doesn't have any harsh aftertaste. Nothing off-putting at the end. And I know why they put it in a 40-ounce bottle, because you could crush the hell out of this thing.
Yeah. But you know, I'd like to see this beer.
That's funny, Charles. Okay.
I would like to see this beer put on draft among other taps with nothing on it, and just give it for a free tasting, and I will guarantee you that nobody would ever know that that's a malt liquor.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up, John, because a lot of people would never let themselves be caught drinking this beer. And they would claim that it was bad, but if you tricked them with a blind taste test, they would say, hey, this is pretty good. What is it, Bud Ice or something? But I think it's better than Bud Ice, but you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't drink it just because of what it is, malt liquor, you know. It's a bunch of bull crap, I think. I'm talking about the attitude, not the beer.
Yeah. But I think that's right. If you put it on a blind taste test in a bar and not put a label on the tap, I think people will be pleasantly surprised at what they're drinking and how good it really is.
So you agree with what I said, that it could go toe-to-toe with other mass-produced adjunct lagers?
Sure it would, yeah.
Definitely.
I wish it come in six packs, 12-ounce bottles.
Me too.
Yeah. Apparently, that could actually exist.
Yeah.
I know it exists in 6 packs of 12-ounce cans. I've seen that. I've bought them. I've actually bought them in Virginia, only in Virginia, and along the Appalachian Mountains, U.S. Highway 11. In fact. Okay, now Eric says, I haven't drank this in years, and it is really better than I remember. Better than Cobra. Better than King Cobra? I don't know. We may have to argue about that later. Better than Old English, better than Stewart or Hurricane, but more expensive too. It is a little expensive these days. It was a lot cheaper. But now we have to go to the east, to Philadelphia, and I have some Phillies caps, by the way. If you watch my videos, I have a lot of Phillies caps, and I have a Phillies T-shirt. And I've been to Veterans Stadium, and
Sorry to hear that.
Hey, wait a minute. I like Veterans Stadium, and I've been to the new ballpark many times.
The new ballpark is a very much a better product than what you had at the vet, but I appreciate you guys putting up with my technical difficulties for another week. But as far as the beer goes, I've never had this before. It's definitely better than Seal Reserve. I couldn't finish that. If I didn't know any better, I would think this was probably Ice House or something similar. I didn't really get the High Life or the MGD taste similarity, which I just had recently also. And that's a whole nother subject, but I definitely wouldn't think it was necessarily a malt liquor unless I knew it. If you served it to me and just said, here, taste this and tell me what you think. I would probably think it was probably an ice beer maybe, just by the way the kick after a little bit of it. I think it had a funky kind of smell and taste for the first sip or two, but after that it actually is pretty decent for what it is.
Yeah, and I would say this. Don't y'all find it has a little, I keep harping on this, and I'm not doing it for any particular political reason, but don't you find it has a little more hop profile than your average American style lager?
Yeah.
Picking up these hops.
It's a little more robust too. It's got a little more fuller body, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, everybody on here made some fantastic observations. I think it's a really good beer. I mean, I started drinking it in '96 with the 16-ounce cans. Miller needs to get on the ball and start promoting this beer. I think it could be a really big hit. But, you know, they're probably making money off of it, so they figure, why promote it? We've been making money off of it for 34 years with no promotion.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You think about this. I give $2.09 for this great big 40-ounce shatterproof bottle. You know, I've given a lot more for that for worse beers.
Mine was cheaper than that. I'm surprised because I think I paid $2.40 for a 40.
Yeah, mine was $2.09.
But like Brandon's over there in Mississippi, he can tell you this right now. You go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's basically the Magnum capital of the world.
Yes, it is.
Pretty
much.
$1.69.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I can name quite a few stores where you can find Magnum in Baton Rouge. If you're ever in the Baton Rouge area, most stores you can find them. You can find 40s.
It's unbelievable. I'm going to read this description off this 1996 can, and y'all tell me if you think this description is accurate. Now, take into account this is the old 6% version. It says, you know, carefully brewed. I think it is carefully brewed. From the finest, well, okay, malted barley, selected cereal grains, and choicest hops. No additives or preservatives. Now, that is the case. There are no additives or preservatives. Anyway, here's the description of the beer on the can. It says, Magnum is remarkably smooth.
I would agree.
Yeah, y'all tell me if they're wrong. Magnum is remarkably smooth and rewarding. Rewarding. With all the rich, full character you expect from a premium malt liquor. Okay.
Not your average cheap malt liquor, a premium malt liquor.
It's rewarding. It is rewarding. I'm starting to experience that reward.
Me too. That 40 is easy to drink, so yeah, it starts to get to you after a while. It's like you're drinking 40 ounces. Okay, 3 times 12 is 36, so you pretty much had 3+ beers.
Oh, it's smooth like a beer that's smooth. But
smooth like a Keystone.
Yeah, but way smoother than that. Well, if there's anything negative about it, I don't know what it is. I mean, is it the world's greatest beer? No. But then on the other hand, it doesn't claim to be. All they're saying is
it doesn't cost it either.
Huh? What? I'm sorry. Say that again.
I think there's so many people jump on the persona of what this is and how bad it really is. But I don't think, and I actually sit down. I usually don't watch a lot of YouTube videos, but I actually watched a couple of videos on YouTube on this beer, and there was nothing good to say from anybody really on this beer. But I mean, to me, you got to judge a style for what it is, and I judge this very highly.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a nice looking label.
Yeah.
It's a cool name, Magnum. You know, I guess it's trying to.
I actually think the beer is better than the bottle and the label. With like, I looked at this bottle and I went, "Oh, I really don't know if I want to drink this." And I opened it, and then I took a swig or two, and I'm like, "This is much more pleasant than I thought it was going to be."
And I'm one on here, and you guys have heard me quite a few times, and you talk about buy again. I'd probably go out and buy that one.
Yeah.
It isn't bad at all.
I'd jump on a lawnmower and cut all kinds of grass.
Yeah.
That's good.
It really is. It is.
Price.
Yeah. It's like a lawnmower beer with something to it.
You got it.
All right. Well, I guess we covered all the bases. Now, the interesting thing here is that, and it's too bad other people didn't come on, but they either couldn't find the beer, like Paul from Texas, who likes to do these videos, but he didn't want to drive 30 miles one way to get it, and I can understand that. Secondly, some people are using equipment that won't work. But the interesting thing is this beer came out in 1981, and the beer we're looking at next Wednesday night also came out in 1981, even though the company that originated the beer was in 1864 in Ireland. And do you know what that beer happens to be?
George Killian's Irish Red?
Yes, and that's a beer that you could turn around tomorrow and it's gone. I went to the store today and I said, let me see what they're charging for Killian's. It wasn't there. And I asked the manager, I said, why the Killian's is not in the store? He said, well, we don't have room for everything.
I'm more concerned about finding Killian's than I was about finding Magnum.
Yeah, Killian's has got me worried. I think that's a beer that could be on the death list. They used to make Killian's Irish Stout, which was a strong stout. I mean, that stuff was harsh. I liked it, but it was probably a little too harsh for people. But
I haven't seen Killian's around other than maybe not even noticing it in the beer distributor around here because I live in the backward state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you gotta go through hell more than probably all the other 49 states to get beer. I'm sorry to say.
I love Pennsylvania for a lot of reasons, but when it comes to the liquor control board and you can't buy beer in the same store you buy liquor, and that's a whole other show. But
yeah, I know, it's insane. I know. I've been to Pennsylvania so many times buying beer. I've been through it.
Yeah, but can you buy beer on Sundays? We can't buy beer on Sundays in Indiana.
There's only a couple beer distributors that'll actually be open on Sunday.
Really?
Or you can buy them in a 6-pack at a bar, maybe.
But we can go to we can drive 10 miles to Louisville.
Yeah.
Or you can drive to New Jersey like people around here do.
We can go to Louisville and buy on Sunday and get a Magnum 40 and a Wilson baseball bat.
Luckily for me, Philadelphia is right across the Delaware River from New Jersey, which New Jersey, for all its faults, has better rules when it comes to beer and wine.
Boy, there's no doubt about that. But not for gasoline. But anyway,
no, gas is much cheaper in New Jersey.
Yeah, but then they gotta have a guy pump it for you.
Oh, he can pump it all day for all I care if it's 20 cents cheaper.
Right. But okay, now, oh, I forgot what I was going to say, and it was very profound. Anyway,
story of my life.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Louisiana was founded by Catholics, and it has a very large Catholic heritage. What do you think our beer laws? What do you think the laws in Louisiana are about buying beer on Sunday?
Let's put a daiquiri and put a straw through the top.
Well, we do have drive-through daiquiri shops. Okay. Now, thank y'all for watching this video production. And next week, it's George Killian's Irish Red, which is a fascinating beer brand, to say the least. There's no doubt about that. All right, and its alcohol by volume has changed over the years as well. So thank y'all for joining me. and it was a lot of fun. At least I thought it was a lot of fun.
Good times.
Magnum PI out.
Slouching.
And John and Charles, if y'all ever do come to Louisiana, there's a lot of different stuff y'all can get here that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in Indiana. And of course, I know that's vice versa, but
If we ever get to Louisiana, we'll bring you some beers from Indiana and Louisville.
oh, let me ask y'all this: do y'all get Vita beers up there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Starting to find them little by little.
all right. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna have to do a little more work. Okay. All right, folks. Thank y'all, and good night or good morning, whatever.
Bon temps roulé.